Hello, happy Friday. Nicole with Create the Right Way, and we are back for another 5-A-Day Friday. Our 5-A-Day Friday is our weekly decluttering challenge where we come at you with a different place in your home to see if you can get rid of at least 5 things in that area and get it on out of your house. So really building that habit of decluttering and evaluating how much stuff do you actually need in your home, really looking at a small attainable task that you can complete pretty quickly and easily. So today, we are in the kitchen and we are going after baking sheets and baking pans. So this is a really great time to do this and see what extra stuff you might have in there that you really don't need. So we've been through the holidays, and that's typically when people are doing the majority of the baking that they end up doing throughout the year. So you know what you just used for all of that. You know, however many cookie sheets you needed or muffin pans or any of the kind of stuff that you typically bake. Look at that. Keep whatever you're using, absolutely. But most of us really end up with extra things in our kitchen that just piles up, and then it's harder to get things in and out of the cabinet that you keep those in, and we may not even need everything that we have. So we actually, this is kind of a funny story. A couple of years ago, we'd gone over to a friend's house for a dinner where everybody kind of brings a different dish to pass. When we left, forgot to grab the container of what we brought over there and realized it, and I was like, oh, I'll connect with that person at some point and get that back. Well, that never happened, and the reality is I know I left that pan behind, but I haven't needed it. Like, I've just used other things instead of that pan. And we also had a situation recently where we had some glass baking pans. It was a set of 3. One of them dropped and shattered, the small one. And it was like, oh shoot, this is something we use all the time. So the immediate thought is like, oh, we need to go get another one to replace it. Well, we haven't gotten around to doing that. And this has been several months. And the reality is we have other things that we just use instead of that pan. And I bet the same is true for a lot of you as well, right? That if you are thinking, I use everything in my kitchen, I don't need to get rid of anything, Nicole, really challenge yourself to think about that there's probably 5 extra baking sheets, baking pans that you've got. And if that is hard to think about, flip it and go, okay, if I didn't have this specific pan, if this just poof was gone from your kitchen, what would I use instead? If I needed to bake something with that, and if you can easily find something in under 30 seconds that you would, oh, well, I just grabbed this pan, or you know what? I never normally use that pan to make this dish, but it would work just as well. That might help you think about too, evaluating what extra things are in there. And really just kind of giving yourself some breathing room in your cabinets. And if you've got kids at home, it actually makes it a little easier to get them involved in putting things away. Because it's easier for them to put that in the cabinet when there's more space there versus if they're having to pull everything out or wedge it in just right and play that Tetris game that we sometimes have to play with our kitchen cabinets. If things just easily go in their spot, it's a lot easier and doesn't feel like putting things away is such an overwhelming task either. So I bet you've got some extra things in there. Even if it doesn't feel like there's extra, I bet you have them. And use that extra gauge of, if I didn't have this item, even if it's something that you're using, if you're like, if I didn't have this specific item, what would I use instead? And that might be a really good way to think about it a little bit differently, to really challenge yourself on what items actually need to take space in your kitchen, especially if you can find multiple uses for the same item. Then you can free up that space by getting rid of the things that maybe you only use for one specific task in your kitchen. So I would love to hear how this goes for you. Comment below. Let us know if you think this will be helpful information to share with a friend. We'd love for you to share this video, pass it on. And of course, we'd be so thankful if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.